Mr. Edwin over here from Rhode Island. So I wanted him to introduce himself. Just chat from first. You're the first person in the conference. So exciting.
Yeah, so I'm Edwin Kwashi, and I'm a second-year resident at Brown University Rhode Island Hospital, and it's really nice to be at the conference right now. I have a general poster session which is gonna happen around 12. I think 12 to 5 kind of, So. And so far the feeling is good. Yeah, I'm meeting new people. I just met him. We are friends on LinkedIn. But it's nice to meet you in person. Actually,
I think 2 days ago I added you on LinkedIn, and then I saw him, and then I was like, I think this is Edwin.
Right. So so far.
So you did your postdoc in
Medical College of Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Where did you do your PhD before?
Florida A&M.
Florida A&M.
Yeah.
Okay. How do the two compare? Did you like Wisconsin more?
Florida was more fun.
Okay.
Because I was in grad school.
Okay. Had more free time.
Yeah, free time. So
less expectations.
Yes. But I have a thesis to write and stuff like that. But that was at the end of the PhD program, right?
Okay.
So it got busy then, And I had a bunch of friends over there too for a very, PhD takes longer.
Yeah, long time. So you build relationships.
So you build a lot of relationships. So it was nice. For the postdoc, it was just 2 years, and you're trying to, you're trying to work hard, try to, put a paper out quickly before going to residency, right? So,
It's higher expectation.
Yeah, higher expectation. You have limited time.
So your PhD was it ChemPep or was it not ChemPep?
No. So this more like a pure physics PhD.
Oh, and then you did the certificate.
Yeah, certificate as a postdoc.
Oh,
So the postdoc comes with certificates.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. So you're like. So you did your PhD first, and then you're like, okay, let me do. So you did pure physics.
Yeah, pure
What
physics.
was your PhD in?
Condensed matter.
Condensed matter.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually did computational.
Yeah.
I did like a summer research experimental condensed matter.
Oh, you didn't like it?
It takes so many people have 7 years to do their PhDs. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
The whole life of work?
Yeah. It's intense.
It's very interesting stuff. It's very cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
You're like doing very new things, but it takes
so much time.
Yeah.
Because condensed matter, it's a very broad field and very interesting stuff. So, you need to dive in a lot. To be able to publish, because that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
publication. So it's tough, but it's doable.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So you did condensed matter, and then you were like, okay, I wanna. When?
Yeah. So actually, I did. My bachelor's is in physics.
Did you do it in Ghana?
In Ghana. But we have the option to specialize. So you can specialize in medical physics, you can specialize in computational physics. So I did medical physics. So I kind of have a background in medical physics when I was doing my bachelor's. So moving back to medical physics has always been my plan.
So if you did your bachelor's, you already knew about medical physics?
Yeah, because the last 2 years of my bachelor's, I have to specialize
in medical physics.
Yeah, in medical physics. So I have the.
So that's really interesting. You did your bachelor's in physics with a concentration in medical physics. Why did you decide to go to condensed matter? Why didn't you go to medical physics?
So I was in between because I like computational stuff too.
Okay.
So I was like, let me try that.
Was this before the residency requirement? Or was
what do you mean?
Because the residency requirement came around 2011, 2012, where ChemPep required you needed to go to residency.
I didn't even know about that.
Oh,
right?
okay.
No, I didn't even know. So I was working at Lawrence Livermore National Lab in California.
Okay.
Right? And so my research over there is like, we look at particles in matter, right?
Okay.
We shoot particles in matter. So, and because I have this medical physics background already, I was looking at biological systems, right?
Okay.
So shooting a proton through a DNA,
the damage.
Work, damage, looking at the range.
Okay.
So one time I was just reading, and I realized, you can take your certificate program and go back to
okay.
medical physics. So I was like, you know what, I already
Perfect.
have this interest, so
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me just take.
So did you do 1 year or 2 years at Wisconsin?
2 years.
2 years,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a 2-year postdoctoral program, but within that 2 years, you also take
The courses.
The courses.
To get a certificate?
Yeah, to get a certificate.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, so it was a
How-
little bit, you know.
You know, I mean, a lot of people do the regular physics and then go into medical physics.
Yeah.
Why? What's the? I mean, do you feel happy? You're finishing your residency.
Yeah.
You're gonna apply to jobs.
Yeah.
If anyone is looking for physicists, which a lot of people are, hit Mr. Edwin over here.
Yeah.
So, do you feel more satisfied now with your the decision that you took?
Yeah. I'm more satisfied because one good thing is because I have a very strong pure physics background. Coming to medical physics is more smooth for me.
Easier.
Yeah, much easier. The only thing is I have to learn anatomy. And physiology, right? Right. But that one, you study, you get it, right? So it was a smooth sailing for me.
Okay.
Because I already understand that domestic level. So when I'm looking at medical physics, it's more, more fun. And also you are working directly with patients, right? You are,
It's more meaningful.
Yeah, more meaningful. Planning, looking at all those. So yeah, it's more fulfilling.
Yeah. So you liked computational things.
Yeah.
Do you feel? I mean, medical physics is kind of nice that it's a mix.
Yes, it's a mix because you can do computational research, right?
Yeah. And
so
you still have the hands-on techy things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So everything just transition, you can apply it in medical physics.
In medical physics.
So it makes it nice,
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, what was I gonna ask? I was gonna ask, do you feel like the kind of people, I mean, you worked in Lawrence Livermore, you did PhD in Condas, you've been around physicists both in the pure domain and in the medical domain.
Yeah.
Coming from outside, I mean, I did my bachelor's in physics.
Yeah.
I feel like people who go into the pure physics, people who are a lot of people who go into physics are very passionate about the subject in general. How do you feel are the biggest differences between the populations, medical physics population versus the pure physics population? Do you think that there are major differences?
I wouldn't say
personality.
Oh, in terms of personality, okay. Because medical physics, you have to interact with different diverse background of people, right?
Therapists,
oncologists, and sometimes when you are doing brachytherapy, you have to interact with patients too.
Yeah.
So you have to, in that sense, you have to be, in terms of communication wise, you have to know how to communicate with this broader group of people, right? Whereas in pure physics, you are mainly in that,
you're on your own.
That domain, you're only. You see the same people.
There's some collaborations, but it's not as major.
No, not as major. You see what I mean? But whilst in medical physics, different people, you are working with a diverse group of people. With different specialities. So.
You feel like it's more fun?
Oh yeah, it's more fun. But for me.
I always felt that medical physics kind of filters out the kind of people who don't like working with people. It filters for higher social skills.
Yeah. You have to be comfortable talking to
other people. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Pure physics is really fun too because you are. For instance, Lawrence Livermore National Lab, we are doing cutting edge research.
Yeah.
Top-notch kind of research. So there's also fulfillment over there. But just that you're gonna work with anyway, some departmental. There's also some more departmental collaboration, but not anything compared to
medical physics. Gotcha. So what's your research now on? What have you been working on?
Oh yeah. So I'm working on a lot. So I'm looking at grid therapy.
Okay.
Where, we use like a physical grid. It's called.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah. So and also my postdoc I did I did a lot of PED modeling.
Okay.
So how we have alpha beta ratio.
Yeah. Is this biologically effective
yeah,
dose?
biological effective dose. Yeah. So my research was to calculate those alpha beta, those radiobiological parameters for different organs using clinical data.
Okay.
So So
That's
actually,
Do you like the grid? I mean, grid.
No, grid
there's
is
a lot
fun.
of work with Flash, especially. I think people are trying to implement it.
Yes. Actually, and also at the conference, there's a lot of talks about that,
grid.
which I'm gonna go listen to what senior colleagues are doing in the field. So
Actually, in Oklahoma, I'll introduce you to Matt. He's the same year as you residency wise. He's working on grid.
Okay.
Too.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll introduce you guys together.
We need to talk.
That would be pretty cool. All right, Mr. Edwin. I'll end it here.
Nice
Absolutely,
meeting you.
pleasure. Thank you so much for
talking to you.
talking. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of fun. Good. Yes. All right. Hello, Mr. Kyle.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Just to do
I'm
this.
happy.
Yeah. So if you can give an introduction about yourself.
Yeah.
About MIM. How long have you been working in MIM?
Sure.
And what your roles are?
Absolutely. So my name's Kyle. MIM Software. Been with MIM for about 15 years. We've over the years grown from an organization that's about 30, 40 employees when I came to now well over 300 employees. Office in Cleveland, headquartered in Cleveland, but now a global company. Have offices in Brussels, Belgium, Beijing, China. Employees scattered all over the world now. So really went from just a small company in Cleveland to now all over the world.
Gotcha. So you're the director of sales right now.
Correct.
In North America.
Yes, that's correct.
So during those 14 years, a lot has happened in the field, especially in your area.
Yeah.
Especially in the area where MIM is trying to kind of make the most impact.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you feel from your point of view, working with the same company throughout this time? What have been the biggest changes in the industry and the biggest changes that you notice when people are coming and considering buying your product?
Yeah, the changes for over the last 14 years are too long to list in a few seconds. But when you look at over the last 3 or 4 years, we've gone from really I think medicine being, especially in radiation therapy, being everybody kind of does their own thing to trying to be more standardized, right? We've seen the advent of what's called TG263, which is trying to standardize nomenclature so that when we're submitting things to clinical trials and to RTOG, things like that, that we make sure that those things are standardized. In the framework of what our customers have been experiencing, I think it's gone from registration struggles, kind of reliance on a single image to now having to ingest multiple images. The tedious nature of getting a plan ready for a treatment, the contouring work that has to happen. 5-6 years ago, that was all done manually or maybe with some rudimentary auto segmentation tools.
Yeah.
Now we have AI segmentation that's been brought into the mix. Obviously, MIM's a player in that as well, having tools to expedite the contouring process, not just for dosimetrists, but also for physicians. I'm sure there's other things I'm not thinking about, but those are some of the things I've seen as changes.
Yeah. So right now, with kind of, you mentioned AI, it's becoming a very buzzy word.
Sure.
Everyone is kind of thinking about opening a business with AI, etc. MIM does image segmentation.
Yep.
And you guys kind of also started doing more and more AI contouring.
Correct.
Do you, as a director of sales, do you feel any kind of do you feel nervous about your market share, etc., with how accessible AI is becoming?
Sure.
How advanced AI is becoming over time?
Yeah, I think when you look at the landscape of radiation therapy, there are a whole host of problems that need to be addressed, right? AI is one component of that, right? So I can't speak to our competition and what they may be feeling or experiencing, but I can say from our perspective, auto segmentation, though it's now AI based, was really the onset of why we entered radiation therapy. So back in 2006, when we released our first product for radiation therapy, it was for auto segmentation. So we've now applied many of the techniques we've learned over the years from an imaging perspective, from a motion management perspective, from a dose evaluation perspective. All of those things are built into the various MIM products. And now we're just adding AI segmentation as an element to that, to our customer base. We're in the US in 1,300 clinics, worldwide in over 2,000 clinics, using various elements of our software. So having that foundation, I think, really allows us to bring value to our customers. So as far as like your question around, am I concerned about the flooding nature of all the different vendors coming in? But I think MIM will hold its own.
Okay. Do you, looking into the future, kind of just to end it, do you feel like what, I mean, Radonk and medical physics specifically,
Yeah.
it's a tough field to be a salesperson because people are just very highly skeptical.
Sure.
You tell them something, they're like, "Oh, this is a black box. What are you doing?
Right,
What
right,
is
right.
this exactly?"
Right.
How has it been your experience in general? And did you enter the field? Were you in radiation therapy first and you jumped, or were you just purely in sales the whole time?
I came from a different background, not radiation therapy, but the foundation of MIM is really training. So we spend significant time investing in our, not just our salespeople, all facets of the organization to make sure that we offer the best support, the best sales process, the best implementation process for our customers. And so when it comes to what I feel like our team offers as far as value, and we really view ourselves as partnering and consulting with customers more so than just trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
I think we're unique in some. I mean, I'm sure there's other companies that have the same philosophy, but we very much look at, we want to come alongside of the community cancer center, the academic center, the single LINAC facility, the multi-site facility, right? And come alongside of them and identify what pain points they have in their clinical workflow and find a way that MIM can potentially help address those problems. So, when it comes to selling to today's physicists or working with them, I don't. We're trying to help them address the problems and pains in their workflow, and we think that MIM can help solve those problems. So,
Gotcha. Is there anything that excites you about how the field is developing right now, or and how the MIM is developing? Is there anything that in particular kind of catches your eye?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's touched by cancer at some level, and so I've had family members that have had cancer. My father-in-law has cancer today. Been treated at some of the leading academic institutions in the country, and so what I see the field doing, we're trying to evolve the state of care, trying to find better techniques, better methods to treat cancer. It's all about patients at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So how do we do what's best for the patient? How do we make sure that what we're doing to treat the patient is of the utmost efficacy? And I think that's through vendors and clinicians partnering together, because we need to advance the field together. So what I see in the future, I'm excited about it. I'm not apprehensive about it. So I'm along for the ride.
Awesome. Glad to hear, Kyle. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for your
Thank
time. So I have Dr. Danny RIT. Thank you so much, sir, for this interview.
It's not doctor, it's just
It's a doc. You have RIT. You get the doctor title. But I was actually. It was funny. I was telling my friends yesterday. I realized where the company name came from. They're like, "Oh, it's not the acronym." I'm like, "Nope, no, it's not the acronym." So can you tell me just a kind of introduction about yourself? How and when did you start the company? What motivated you to start it?
I worked on my PhD for a while. I didn't finish it, but when I was working on it, uh, I went into industry and I worked on some of the first solid state CAT scanners. A
Okay.
company called EMI Medical, and I really got a good education about helping patients in the CT field, and I really enjoyed that. But unfortunately, they sold the company, and they sold it in pieces, and I wasn't interested in going with a particular piece, and then I ended up working for the government for a while.
So you left the company.
So, yeah, they folded the company.
Okay.
And but it was a really good experience. I got to work with Godfrey Hunsfeld, who was a Nobel laureate.
Oh yeah.
And
Wow.
learn a lot about CT, learn a lot, work in the clinics as they were installing them and things like that. It was a really good learning experience and a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a lot of satisfaction from helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we were actually working on a project where we were looking at imaging, which tends to be my specialty, imaging from space, from satellites.
Oh, okay.
And the
Something
project
so different.
was looking at how the imager degraded as it flew around in the Van Allen belts and accumulated radiation.
Okay.
So now it's accumulating radiation, it's degrading. What's happening to the images during this degradation process?
Okay.
And we were at a hospital in Colorado Springs doing these tests. I was talking to the physicist there, and I said, I'd really like to get out of the government. I'd really like to get back into medicine. Do you have any ideas? And he said, yeah, let's go have a beer. I got a lot of ideas. So,
No shortage of ideas.
pardon me?
No shortage of ideas. Yes, I love them.
Right. It's, and a beer always helps.
Uh-huh.
So,
Agreed.
so we went out and we discussed some of his ideas, and I picked one idea that I wanted to work on, and I tried it for a while, and I worked on it for about 6 months, and
Okay.
I just couldn't improve the image quality on it. Basically, it was trying to improve the MV images so they looked more like KV images.
Okay.
Okay, but there's just not enough information left.
Uh-huh.
When you do an MV image, things are blurrier. And,
Like you're trying to change it computationally? Are you trying
Right.
to manipulate it computationally? Okay.
Right. So it's like, yeah, and now there's a couple companies, if you go to RSNA, who can improve that
Mm.
with newer algorithms and things that we didn't have 30 years ago.
Mm.
And more computational power too.
Mm.
But it's hard when you don't have the original information there. You lose too much of it. And so the next idea that he had was for QA and patient dosimetry, and that's the product. That's kind of our main product. And we have products for diagnostic imaging for CT and MRI and mammogram and things like that also.
Mm.
But it's really nice to be back in the medical industry, knowing that what you're doing is really helping
Meaningful.
people and able to improve their treatments. And then as things go along, I was having lunch with a very good friend of mine for many years just 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Gee, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I've got prostate cancer, and I'm going to go to this hospital." And I go, "Oh, well, you're lucky because this hospital is one of the premiers for treating this in this area."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, they told me something about a cyberknife." We do cyberknife all the time.
Yeah.
This is about cyberknife, and we've got a poster on this that we worked with those guys on.
Yeah.
And they're really well known in the industry. And he's like, "Oh, it's so nice to talk to someone who's kind of knowledgeable
About it. Yeah.
about
Yeah.
all of this stuff." So, and we've had other people. We've got a big solar array at the office that produces all of our power.
Energy.
One of the solar technicians, when they were installing it, ended up getting brain cancer in a year. And he was at a different hospital by us, and they brought out an article on he was going to have treatment with a tomotherapy machine. They brought out an article about it, and when they downloaded it, our banner was on the top because we had sponsored a banner for
That's funny.
medical imaging. And he's like, I just put this solar array for these guys. So it gets very personal quickly.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
It's like a person, especially when it's this old, when it's been this long since you founded it. So how would you say, like now, looking at other, you're at the WPM, you see all the other vendors, you see all of those crazy new products that you're like, wow, never thought this was possible. Do you feel like starting a business 30 years ago versus starting a business now, what are the biggest changes that you see in terms of the economy, the ease of opening a business, how receptive people are to the idea, how excited people are from the community, medical physicists? I know a lot of radiation therapists, a lot of those specifically, more so than medical physicists, enter the business world, mainly sometimes in sales, sometimes opening their own businesses. How do you see the biggest change? What have been the biggest changes 30 years ago versus now? I know there's a lot in this question.
I don't think there are a lot of changes.
Okay.
I think now with venture capitalists, it might be easier to get some money, some startup money. I mean, sure, you have to, come up with a business plan and sell it to them and things like that. But 30 years ago, that was something that was just starting to come around.
Mm.
So I think it might be, easier to get funds. But also, you've got to be, no matter what, when I started this and I first came up with the software, I asked the medical physicist, "Well, would you buy this?" And he said, "No." Well, why not? Well, you haven't been in business 3 or 4 or 5 years. We look for a track record.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody today who was saying, what's going to happen with this vendor or that vendor. And it's like, well, yes, there are new vendors here, but they've got to kind of establish themselves and prove, some of the medical physicists have been burned by buying a product and then it just kind of fizzles out.
Beauty. Hello, Beauty.
Well, they worked very, very hard on that.
Yeah.
And R&D is very expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
that is one of the disadvantages of right now. The engineering and physics talent right now
Is very
costs
expensive.
a lot more
Yep.
money than it used to cost.
Yep.
And it's harder to get to hire. It's very hard to hire a medical physicist
Because the salaries are just, why should I leave the clinic to come work for you?
It's not only that, but they can make more money in the clinic than some of the vendors can pay. On that stuff.
Yeah.
So it can be hard. And right now, if you look at the careers in AAPM, there are fewer openings than there are. There are fewer physicists
Than the openings.
than there are
Yep.
openings.
So there's
And
more
so
leverage.
There's more leverage that market, it makes it very difficult
For
to
vendors.
start up something like that. But this is a great community. They're very helpful. I came into this not knowing anything about medical physics. I'm an engineer by training, electrical engineer. I specialize in imaging, but so many of the good people in this organization have helped me out and helped me learn and taught me about these different things over the years, that now I can have a good conversation with someone with a lot of clinical medical physics experience.
Yeah.
And like you, they think, well, you must have your doctorate on this or that.
That's funny that you say that. It's funny that you went, Dr. RIT. You're like, no, doctor.
But at this point, we've got a lot of published papers.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of, given talks at a lot of different meetings about different aspects of software and software development and things our product can do and things like that. So, there's been a lot of presentations, a lot of papers. We have 29 patents in this area. So there's
a lot of collaborations, I'm guessing, with, I feel like in medical physics, a lot of vendors, I'm guessing you for sure, but also when you're playing on the bigger scale, when you're developing, or reflexion, we have a pet neck. Okay, clinical trials, a lot of data, very hard research. There has to be big time academic collaborations to make the transition, to make the burden of the proof kind of clear from the vendor's
the
perspective.
regulatory stuff is much harder than it was. It was much, you know, it used to take, when we put in for our FDA 510K clearance,
Mm-hmm.
it took a year to get it, but it wasn't really that hard if you followed the rules. Now, boy, there's a lot more paperwork you have to do, a lot more, you know, clinical trials, a lot more of all of this stuff. But on the other hand, like I said, this is a very welcoming group of people. They're really willing to work with you on things, and they're willing to go to vendors and say, you know, I got an idea for this. What would you think about this? You know, when I started this business, the product had about 15 different features, 15 different measurements it can take. Over the years, customers have come to us and said, well, can you automate this measurement? Can you automate this one? We've got a new technique for an MR limit. What can we do about this? You know, and we've added and added and added. Now there's over 450 features in the software. And they've all been suggestions from customers.